At Cerveteri, the wealthy Etruscan ruling class could have magnificent tombs. But not every Etruscan was super rich, as we see in the Crocifisso cemetery at Orvieto.
Right now we are looking at one of the small sections of the entire annular necropolis of Orvieto, which means that the tombs went all around the bottom of the cliff, the base of the big volcanic rock on which the city has been growing since at least the 6th century BC. And one portion, like the one here called Crocifisso del Tufo, because there's a small church on top that has a crucifix carved into the rock, it gives you the possibility of understanding several aspects connected with the urban look, the way that the tombs are organized, and also some of the social information that we can get out of the layout of the tombs themselves. First of all, as you see, the tombs are very similar one to another, so there is not that much differences that run between one family and another family. That are not, maybe they were not allowed to have these differences clearly shown, as we see in other necropolises, like think about Cerveteri, for example, where you have huge tumuli. Here everything is organized in what we would describe as an isonomic or egalitarian way. So everybody has the same probably social weight, but also economical means. So everybody has a chance to build their own tombs. They're still private tombs, but following a pattern, especially for what concerns the urban layout of this, which is a real necropolis. It's really a city of the dead. Just like on top of the cliff, we had a city of the living people. Aveles, so Aulos, Flusenas. So I'm the tomb of Aulus of the Flusenas family. This would be the message, for whoever would be walking here, they know who was the owner of this single tomb. On this other side, though, we have a very different type of situation. The length of the inscription is much, much shorter. The letters are bigger in general, and there is just one name. We're missing the MI part here, not because it's been erased, but it's because it was never here. And it says Aesias, ice, and the term itself, it's connected with the root god or divinity. So this entire monument has probably been dedicated to the gods, because the owner did something that the city didn't in fact accept, so it had to be erased. It was more or less what we described in the Roman times as a damnatio memoriae. Or maybe the building, the structure, the monument has been hit, let's say, by a lightning, which means that it is then to be connected only with a sacred space. In that case, it would be like a fulgor conditum, again using a Roman word for it. The idea of burying or dedicating to the god the object that the god has so clearly asked for, like in this case, the monument itself. And in fact, as you can see, the inscription itself would have gone down to this point, and then it was erased. So we have a different elevation here on the rock, and then we have the last inscription dedicating it again.
Orvieto è stata un'importante città etrusca. Il suo nome era Velsna, Volsini in lingua latina. È sorta come le altre città etrusche nel IX secolo a.C., è divenuta una città più importante a partire dalla seconda metà del VI secolo a.C. e ha concluso la sua fase nel 264 a.C., quando i Romani fecero un intervento molto duro. La città venne distrutta e gli abitanti trasferiti su delle alture vicino al lago di Bolsena.